Let's talk about Biden for a moment. Biden received 81 million votes, the most votes of all time. Now, does Biden scream GOAT to you? Is he the Tom Brady of vote getters, a coward who wouldn't leave his basement to campaign? There's overwhelming evidence that the election was stolen. A top priority of mine as governor is to ensure that justice is served against the globalist Marxists for what happened during the Biden era. A, for stealing an election. B, for COVID. I just want you guys to understand where my head's at when it comes to COVID. I believe in my heart of hearts that COVID was a pandemic. If you look at the circumstantial evidence, the globalist Marxists have been talking about it for a decade. These people are not prophets. A pandemic is coming. A pandemic is coming. You look at the Epstein files. They talk about contacting the WHO. And then you look at Event 205. And then on top of that, you guys should look at Event 205, by the way. They ran a simulation about exactly what would happen if COVID would hit. Lo and behold, 2 months later it hit. They had a motive also, right, to get Trump out of office. On top of that, we learned recently that they suppressed the information about the origin of COVID immediately. Now, immediately, and that's something it just screams guilt, right? Because think about it like this. If it was an accidental lab leak, right, what you would do is investigate it. You wouldn't suppress that information right away. You would investigate to ensure that either there's a lab leak or it came from the bats, which they tried to spin, right? So it seems as if they knew right away it was a lab leak. And how would they know right away it was a lab leak unless they planned it? A rule of thumb in general should be that people who believe in population control should not have access to bioweapons. That's like giving the Ayatollah nuclear weapons. We can all agree that's terrible. Giving the Ayatollah nuclear weapons is asking for mass destruction. But it's the same exact thing. You give globalist Marxists who believe they are God. They do not believe in God. They believe man created the theory of God. So then they start playing God. And like I said, they believe that about 10-15% of us, the world is overpopulated. They need to cut the population by 10 to 15% in order to control the population, right? Because they're after a new world order. Secondly, the vaccines. Okay, so the Biden administration mandated the vaccines. You couldn't travel, you couldn't go to a restaurant, you couldn't serve in our military, you couldn't go to work, you couldn't go to school. They mandated it. They were mandating the vaccines while simultaneously getting information that it was killing people and causing long-term health issues, turbo cancer, cardiovascular issues, strokes. So they were receiving this information while not only they weren't notifying the public, which should have been the right thing to do, they suppressed all that information. And anyone who came forward with it was labeled a conspiracy theorist. They were using social media as well to suppress any information that it was deadly. Suppressing social media. So, in my mind, this equates to crimes against humanity. I don't know how anyone with common sense wouldn't see it that way. And as governor of Florida, I am going to 100%. Florida, we don't have crimes against humanity law yet. But that is my agenda, to get justice. The street people who they think are subhuman, by the way. You know, they have the same ideals as the Nazis. Where you have a supreme race, which is the globalist elites, because they think if they have money and title, then they are the supreme race. And then the poor people are subhuman. And you either control them or they either want to control you or want you dead. There is no middle ground with them. And yes, we need justice for what happened during the Biden administration, which is a stain on our history of America, 100%. The absolute worst case scenario. The crimes they have committed are absolutely horrific, and they think they could just get away with it by controlling the narrative, controlling people's minds with legacy media. Legacy media is 100% culprits. They are 100% guilty of conspiracy after the fact. And I am going to go after them as well. They asked for maximum warfare, and I'm answering their call. Like I said, I am going to bring the war to their front door, and we are going to get justice for what they did to us. Vote black in November if you want justice.